You're ungrateful. Get out and never come back. She didn't scream it. No, she delivered it like venom, low and cold through clenched teeth. Her voice cut sharper than any scream could have. I barely recognized her face. Once the face of comfort, of home. Now twisted, unfamiliar, brimming with a fury that had been simmering just beneath the surface for God knows how long. A half-filled wine glass sat trembling on the counter, a silent witness to the chaos. She had just slammed a drawer shut, loud enough to shake the room, loud enough to shake me. I stood there frozen, still in my work shirt, keys in one hand, the other midair over the coffee mug I'd been sipping when the storm rolled in without warning. No fight rose in me. No words. Only silence. It felt safer. Her mother loomed in the background, arms crossed like a judge watching a sentence unfold, her expression unreadable but final. No one tried to stop me as I reached for my coat and quietly opened the door. I didn't slam it. I closed it softly, like a sacred thing that once meant something. Like I didn't want to wake the ghost that still slept inside. And I honestly thought I'd be back by morning. I thought she'd call. I thought we'd find our way back through the mess. But I thought wrong. What followed wasn't regret. Not even longing. There was no ache. No irresistible pull that makes a man crawl back with flowers and apologies for crimes he didn't commit. Instead, there was stillness. A quiet so complete. It left room for all the truths I had buried under the weight of what I thought was love. I started remembering things I had trained myself to ignore. Like the way her family always told me how lucky I was to have her. Always with that particular tone. That condescending smile that made every compliment feel like an insult. Or how her brother drove my car like it was his own. Left a dent in the bumper. And never even mentioned it. I began to notice the smaller things too. The way she would always dodge questions about money. Change the subject with a kiss. Or worse. Guilt me into forgetting I ever asked. And then late one night, when sleep wouldn't come and suspicion did, I went digging. I found an old folder tucked away in the back of my drawer. Papers I hadn't looked at since we signed for the house. Mortgage statements, title documents, loan agreements. My name was on every page. Hers was nowhere. Not once. Not even in the fine print. It wasn't just my heart they'd taken. It was my money, my name, my credit, my future. I had unknowingly bankrolled a fantasy, a family dream, while being the outsider funding it all. That was when the anger arrived. Not loud or blinding, but sharp and focused. Precise. Like a scalpel. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The light outside was soft. That golden hour hue that makes everything feel calm, even when your world is burning. My phone rang. Her mother. I almost didn't answer. "Sweetheart," she began, her voice dripping with false concern. "I noticed the mortgage hasn't been paid this month. I'm sure it's just a mistake." I stared out the window of my new apartment, a modest place I'd moved into 2 weeks earlier. Small, simple, but mine. I waited. She paused, expecting me to explain, to apologize, to jump in and fix it all. Instead, I said quietly, "You mean your mortgage?" There was a stutter on the other end. "Well, what?" "No," I said, cutting her off before she could pretend to be confused. The asterisk house. The one in my name. The one I paid for. The one none of you ever put a dime into. Silence. I didn't stop there. I had found the rest. The text messages between her and her daughter. Conversations that should have been private but weren't. She never changed her passwords. I'd seen it all. The plans. The manipulation. The casual cruelty of people who saw me as a wallet, not a person. She inhaled sharply, like someone punched the air out of her. "You knew," she whispered. "Not at first," I replied. "But getting thrown out might have been the best thing your daughter ever did for me." The truth wasn't emotional. It was data. Numbers. Documents. Dates. Signatures. All forged into a lie sold as partnership. I had been paying for a home that never belonged to me. Not in spirit, not in intention. Only in legal liability. They used it like a vacation house. Ate dinners, held birthdays, lived like kings, while I quietly carried the weight. And when I finally confronted her, she didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She leaned back in her chair, folded her arms and said, "You could afford it." That was it. Not thank you. Not sorry. Just a cold, hollow justification. I laughed. Not loudly. Just a breath, really. A disbelieving exhale that said more than words ever could. That's it? I asked. She stared at me, her expression flat. You're not a victim. You wanted to take care of me. Don't make it ugly. Her voice was surgical now, clinical and emotionless. And in that moment, I saw the truth for what it was. So I nodded, packed up the few things I'd left behind, and walked out again. But this time, I called the bank first. I canceled autopay, froze every account she'd tied herself to. Quiet, precise cuts, legal final. She didn't notice until the next payment bounced. Until the lights flickered. Until the dinners turned into interrogations about money. Word got around. Fast. Friends whispered. Mutuals stopped calling. She spiraled. I watched from afar. Unapologetic. Weeks later, the house was foreclosed. Sold off in silence. Her family scattered. Her mother moved in with a cousin, her brother disappeared. And my ex-wife? I didn't ask. I didn't care. Justice didn't come with applause. It came with quiet. I didn't need to scream. Didn't need to slam doors or curse the sky. I just existed without them. And that, it turns out, was the loudest revenge of all. Sometimes silence is a punishment. Sometimes it's peace. For me it was both. And now when people ask why I left her, I just smile and say, she told me to. Then I let the silence say the rest.